let you know what's good to go. We are part of the black media, always leading you with the truth over falsehood, so that you know it's time for you to be more than just good, so you can thrive. Meanwhile, we're talking about thriving. We have this new political situation with Joe Biden, the Democrats, and the Republicans in this upcoming midterm election. Around June 28th, people are going to their states. Certain other states are having their elections for Republican or Democrats. The issue is, what will black people do? It's well known that black people traditionally vote Democrat tickets. But now we know, without a shadow of a doubt, that the Democrats have done nothing specifically for black people in America, especially for American descendants of slaves, foundational black Americans, indigenous black Americans, native black Americans, etc. They've done nothing for us as black people in America, black Americans, etc., however you want to phrase it. You've got Mr. Jim Crow Biden, one of the architects of the 1994 crime bill. Black people voted for him in good faith, irregardless of his past. He claimed he was going to do something for black people. He did absolutely nothing. But him and Kamala Harris did come up with the Asian Pacific Islander hate bill. Wait a minute. Why would you give them a hate bill, which is okay to give them a hate bill, but you specifically did not. They specifically did not address the issue of black men and women getting killed in America by their hateful white supremacist terrorist groups. They did not address that fact. They did not address the blackness. They did not address the blackness of what was going down from the whiteness that was going down with the criminal intentions and the hatred and the despicable acts of violence and murder committed by these hate groups, even the police. Speaking of the police, we've got to remember, there is a reason for a black hate crime bill. It will protect black people, even black immigrants, from being unnecessarily murdered by cops. We all know about George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, Trayvon Martin, and 12-year-old Tamir Rice. Yes, that 12-year-old Tamir Rice was shot he was shot by cops with their weapons. They shot him. He only had a toy gun that had an orange barrel. Come on. It's been industry standard to know that all toy guns would have colorful tips. But nowadays they make guns of all types of colors and flavors. Still, he was a child. They just abandonedly shot a child, figuring he was a threat. threat because he was black. Ridiculous. But it happened. We can't forget that George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, Trayvon Martin, these people were killed by cops and ex-cops. Black immigrants get killed by cops too. Let's not forget that fact. Let's not forget that fact. Amadou Diallo, he was 23 back in February 4th of 1999. The cops shot him 41 times. And on May 23rd, 2003, Burkina Faso, that's right. On May 23rd, 2003, Ousmane Zongo, a Burkina Faso immigrant, an African immigrant, was shot 4 times by NYPD. On July 24th, 2009, a Sudanese immigrant, Jonathan Deng, out in Iowa City, was killed by cops. Shot down. On September 25th, 2015, another native of Guinea, a Guinea immigrant just like Amadou Diallo, was shot 7 times and once in the head by NYPD. Now what's going on? Mr. Ba was shot in the head by the NYPD. He was a disturbed brother. His mother called 911 for an ambulance to help with her emotionally distressed son. The police arrived first. They didn't wait for the ambulance. They chose to go in and want to shoot him. They shot him 8 times, 7 times to the body, once to the head. This is what we're facing. We need a hate bill to protect us from them haters and some of them white supremacist cops. And don't think they're not white supremacists because they might be black, Hispanic, or Asian. It's the blue shield. Blue shield sometimes can hide and do the work of the white supremacy. Not saying that they all do, but we never know who's who. Well, we gotta call it like it is. Remember, on November 14th, down in Brooklyn, Akai Gurley, he was 28 years old, shot by a Chinese American police inside the Louis H. Pink housing project in East New York. And yes, that cop did get away with it. That Chinese American cop did get away with it. Police backed him. His community backed him. He did get away with it. Even though he was found guilty, he did get away with it. There's a long list of black immigrants, along with black people throughout the country, just getting shot. Some by cops, some not by cops, getting beaten to death. Some by cops, some not by cops. We're getting slaughtered out there, black people, men and women, children, etc. Just being executed, murdered by white supremacists all over the country. The fact is despicably insane. It's absurd, but it's reality. This is the reality of life in America for black people, whether you're a black immigrant or whether you're a black American descendant of slave, foundational black American, indigenous, native black, etc., etc. So we need, as B1 people on code, to create a political bloc for ourselves. Black people as a whole is a political bloc for the Democrats. We don't need the Democrats. We don't need to create a bloc for the Republicans. We need to create a political bloc for ourselves. ourselves where we can choose candidates who will fight for our agenda. Our agenda will always be a black agenda, an agenda that will advocate and fight for black empowerment, black economic empowerment, tangibles for the black community, reparations, medical, educational, income making opportunities, business opportunities, home development opportunities, home ownership opportunities. We need these politicians that will support a black agenda. They need to render a black agenda. The black agenda has been rendered. They need to support the black agenda that's been rendered. A black empowerment. Tangibles. Bring tangibles to the people. Fred Hamilton said, power to the people. Fred Hamilton was very persuasive, was very emotive. Out of most of the leaders, he said power to the people. He had blacks, Hispanics, and even Asians ready to join his campaign. What happened to Fred Hampton? Cut down and murdered by the vicious white supremacist hand of the rogue FBI agents doing the dirty work, deemed by J. Edgar Hoover, etc., etc. They claim there is no evidence of that. Yes, right, sure. They can claim what they want to claim. The evidence is out there. History never lies. We see the facts. But despite Fred Hampton's death, we have to move on. We have to live on. It's been almost 50, 60 years, give or take. We need to form that political bloc which will give power to the people, a black agenda. Despite what Kamala Harris says, she says she won't do anything specifically for black people. Talking about whatever they would do will always help black people, which is a lie, because anything they ever did not trickle down or help black people. So we need a black agenda, because whatever helps, specifically, whatever policy specifically helps African descendants of slaves, foundational black Americans, Native black Americans, etc., etc. Whatever helps those black peoples, all black peoples in America, it will help everybody, like the Civil Rights Bill helped everybody. But we need a bill that will specifically help us and let those who qualify help. But we know reparations will specifically be for African descendants of Americans, foundational black Americans, Native Americans, indigenous Americans, all those who have roots, biological roots in the soil and the killer fields of the slaves that suffered and built this country. Black immigrants, yeah, they'll get whatever they'll get, but they are black immigrants and they will get what they get. They're still black. They get killed just like we do. So let's be real. And let's be on code. Let's get that political bloc together. Power to the people. What people? I don't even have to say what people, because you know it's black people. Power to the people. Yeah. Fred Hampton's message did not die in vain. Power to the people. We need a black agenda. We're not trying to dilute the message. Power to the black people, American descendants of slaves, foundational black Americans, native black Americans, indigenous black Americans, Aborigines black Americans. Power to the people, RBG, etc. So peace. Until next time.